From the EPAWA headquarters in South Allentown, Pennsylvania, it's time for Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The following segment is a weekly video blog, and the opinions of the forecaster do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff of Eastern PA Weather Authority LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrus with Weather Weeklies.
And good Sunday morning to you, another edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, January 15th. And if you followed along last week, we kind of gave a summary of the long range we did the Friday prior to that. And it was met with a lot of doom and gloom, and looked like a lot of winter lovers were disappointed, and at the same time, they were ready to cancel winter. We are not ready to do that. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. And we're going to show you that throughout this video here. We're going to take this down to the next several weeks, next 3 weeks, as a matter of fact, in 5-day intervals here. We are going to be warming up this week, and that's reflected here. This is the period from the 15th through the 19th. Now, the 15th is going to be near normal. You got to remember, this is a 5-day composite average, so the entire period may not have exactly above normal every single day. It just happens to be at will this period, except for the 15th. 15th is going to be actually near normal. That's, of course, today. So we go a little bit forward from this point here. 6 to 10 days, now 20th to 24th. We are now well above normal here. Okay, below normal in the western United States still. And this is when we're in the heart of our warming. Now, we do see signs that once we get to toward the end of January, which is the 25th, 29th. Now, this is showing, again, this is a 5-day average here, so we're starting to usher the cold air in this way, and it's coming across the country in this manner. This is retreating this way, okay? So this is all coming out of here. This is probably going to be closer to the 25th, 26th, maybe 27th. You're still above normal here. After that point, 28th, 29th, you're not. So this is a 5-day average showing the retreating here of the warmth. And then once we get past that point, the very end of January, early February, you're now below normal. So this is an unusually higher than average forecast here, despite the GFS ensembles not really jumping on board with this yet. Where we are not following the GFS ensemble guidance because it has been last to the party to make changes. Okay, the one that has been leading the way has been the Euro weeklies and monthlies. Now, a lot of people say, and I put this out on Twitter, I made a little rant about this. I hear this a lot. I hear people say, well, the Euro weeklies can't be trusted beyond 2 weeks. Well, no, not true. Okay. You also hear, well, they flip constantly. They can't be trusted. Well, I will say that when models are in seasonal transition, that's a true thing. That's a true statement. So what do I mean by seasonal transition? I mean going from summer to fall, fall to winter, and then winter to spring, spring to summer. Those are your seasonal transitions. When you have any kind of seasonal transition and you're going from a colder environment to warmer, or the opposite, as is the case going from fall to winter, the models struggle with that pattern recognition. They like to rush the pattern change a lot of times. Sometimes they like to delay it too much, and you'll see a lot of flux back and forth until it recognizes what the pattern is, and then once it locks in, then it's good. Okay, so once you're in mid-season like we are now, the models our climate models are a lot better, a lot more useful of a tool than they are, say, in maybe mid-November, mid-December timeframe. Okay, so the Euro weeklies have been consistent, showing this warmth coming in here, this warmth right here, and so it has led the way in that, actually. Whereas the GFS ensembles were insisting that it would stay colder, which was incorrect. We are going to get warmer this week, and it has led the way on this also, which is the end of the month, January and early February, showing this cold coming back. So there's no reason for me to not believe it, especially when we're looking at things observationally that would suggest this is about to occur. So we look at the signs of change here. This is a look at the GFS ensemble for this week. This is up through the 25th. This is the morning of the 25th. What you have here on the GFS ensemble, this is a positive EPO right here. So positive EPO is not what you need for cold to bleed into the United States. We need a negative EPO. So this is just one thing. You also have a negative PNA here, which is a trough out in the west, ridging out in the east. So this is all warm air, and you can see that reflected on the 850 millibar chart here. Cold coming into the western United States with that trough, ridging in the east, and that's going to mean warm for our area. So there's no doubt that we're going to be warm here, and nobody's denying that. We're going to be warm through about the 27th or maybe 28th or so. Okay, the GFS ensembles, though, starting to show change. They're starting to come around a little bit, showing the positive EPO now. Right here, there's a positive EPO. The PV diving down further to the south. All right, starting to get some troughiness coming in here. All right, but the GFS is not really reflecting this, except still mostly in the western half of the country. It's trying to come east at this point, and this is toward the end of the month. This is the 30th, 31st time frame. Okay, so it still has the anomalously warm temperatures here. I don't agree with this. I think the GFS is playing catch up. It has the right idea that this is going to be coming in afterwards. So it does understand that, yes, it is going to get colder. So it's starting to adjust to that, but it's just not doing it quickly enough. All right, if we go over to a different vantage point, go to the European model, because that's been leading the way on everything. This is the same time frame at the end of the month. Again, we're talking about the 30th here. All right. And you have a huge ridge out west and a trough in the east. This is an ideal pattern, folks, if you like cold and snow. Ideal. All right, PV is further south. All right, you got this cold air cross-polar flow coming in here, and this is an ideal pattern if you want cold locked into the east and a stormy pattern. And you also have a negative EPO here in this situation. Okay. Can't really draw it with a mouse very well, but the negative EPO is the situation here with a positive PNA. This is not something we've seen all winter. So if we have this locked in, you're going to have at least to start February, you're going to have a very cold regime. Here's what it looks like from 850 millibar temperature anomaly. This is all below normal across pretty much the entire United States. Okay, now this is the 30th of January. It's showing. This might be right around the time when it really starts kicking in here. You have ridging, obviously warmth up here in Alaska now, and this is going to be a big change once we go into the month of February. So this is why we have the map looking like this. Okay, it's 16 to 20. This is now February 30th or January 30th to February 3rd, and we're below normal. This might actually be below, the latest runs are starting to bring this well below normal further south and east yet. So this might be adjusted by the time we get to next week too, but still. Whole idea here is that it's going to be colder as we head into the month of January. How confident are we on that? Actually, we actually have high confidence that's going to happen. High confidence that we're going to get this cool down. To be determined yet, though, is how long this lasts. And I'm not ready to jump on in an entire month of February being epic like some are saying. It could be, but we're going to need help with that to sustain it. There's things you look at to help that. One of those things is tropical forcing. Here is the European weeklies. Now, if you look at this here, this is showing the progression into phase 1, phase 2, back into the circle of death toward the maritime continent. If I stop this right here, I stop drawing right there. This is what the European the ensembles are currently showing still. Okay, the European ensembles show it to that point because then it runs out of range. Okay, but the European weeklies go out to 4 weeks. So this is going to show you it moving straight through into the Western Pacific, the Western Hemisphere, and then we're going into favorable phase 8. If you look at I've circled here what we're looking at as far as what is favorable for East Coast storms. Look at this. Phase 8 is like almost textbook. This is a cold and stormy pattern, and so is phase 1. So if you're kind of going into this direction here, and very slowly at that, propagating through these eastward propagating MJO signal like it shows here, you're going to be into cold and the snowy pattern for a while, at least for the first half. This goes up to the 13th of February, at least for the first half. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't go past that if this is correct. Also looking at some help from the stratosphere. This is also something you can lock in. Now, this is from the GEFS. The stratosphere, believe it or not, the models are very good at predicting stratospheric warming events. All right, it's just not always that great about saying, hey, it's going to propagate down to the lower levels and translate down to the surface. But right now you have all this cold right here. This is cold over the polar regions. You don't want that cold over the polar regions. You want it to be warm over the polar regions. I know that's kind of backwards, but by being warm over the polar regions in the stratosphere, it forces and displaces all the cold air away from the polar regions. So you can get cold bleeding into the United States. If it's locked up over the poles up here, you don't have that. Okay, so you need this. This right here is a warming event, sudden stratospheric warming event. That's going to be pushing away and trying to eat away at this strong polar vortex, causing it to displace. So by the time you get out, this is January 17th. By the time you get to January 29th, Look what it has. Warmth over the poles. Cold is displaced. See that? Away from the polar regions. And you have the warming over the poles. Now, this is a very strong signal for that. This is something that can lock it in longer than just the first 2 weeks of February. The reason I say that is, date on this is the 29th. If this is happening at this point, lag time for a stratospheric warming episode is generally 10 to 14 days. So, if you have this, let's say you get to this point, you're looking at all this. Let me get to the right image here. Let's say you get to this point and you have all this cold locked in here. And let's say it's going to do what it did all winter. It's going to try to start to retreat out. Well, what this does is keeps it locked in, because now you have your warmth of the polar regions and their cold is displaced. So you have a better opportunity for the second half of February to be sustained cold and then end up with the month of February being below normal as a whole. But there's still a lot of ifs yet. Stratosphere is not a lock. They're very good at predicting these, but it doesn't always translate to the troposphere. So we'll see. We'll see. So right now we're going with the beginning of February, at the very least, being below normal, and giving you a lot of chances for, with that, a stormy pattern, which will give you snow, and we can make up for lost time in a hurry. It's happened in the past. We've had plenty of analogs in the past where that's happened. Plenty. You get into the month of February after having a lackluster first half, and then all of a sudden, boom. Okay, you have the President's Day storms and things like that. There's a lot of things that happen during February that can turn you around in a hurry with bigger storms. That can happen, all right? So we're not abandoning the winter outlook as far as total snowfall or frequency of events. It just got a little bit backwards because of that QBO threw a little monkey wrench in the thing. We talked about it in the last video. QBO is the westerlies in the stratosphere was a little bit stronger than we thought in the first half, so it kept it like what we got, basically. And it hasn't slacked off. Now we're seeing signs of slacking off. Now we're seeing it drop a La Nina back to the La Nada, which is ENSO neutral, which is a little bit more favorable for us for snow. So we'll see where we go with this. There's still an opportunity here to reach those snow totals. It's kind of backwards of what we expected. We expected a front-loaded winter, not back-loaded. But hey, however we get to the end of if we get to the end of the race, with the end result the same, it really doesn't matter. Here, we're going to offer something here right through this video. We're not going to announce it to the public yet until Monday. Mid-season winter discount for the text alerts. It is now 15th of January, so we're launching this today. If you click on the image below this video, okay, it's a MyPocket meteorologist explanation of our text alerts. This is only for the text alerts, and that's it. Not for the forum, not for anything else. This is the one-time charge. You'll see this, if you click on that image below, it'll take you to a page. Go halfway down the page, it'll say winter weather alert services. Our text alerts that we send you that are normally $24.99 for the entire winter, and $34.99 if it's 2 counties that you want monitored instead of just 1. This sends the text alerts of what to expect for your county with timing, how much you're going to get, specific start and end times, snow consistency, how light snow versus heavy snow, all that stuff. That's going to have you locked in for the month of February, but it's going to be a discount, half off discount we're doing now, since it's half the winter. Okay, so instead of $24.99, you'll pay $12.49, and the same thing for this is $17.49. You'll pay for 2 counties. Okay, it's a half off season discount. So anyway, go to the image below this post, click on it. It'll take you to this page. Take it to the next page. Halfway down that page, go to the winter. Look just like this: winter weather alert service. Pick either 1 or 2 counties that you want monitored. If you want just 1 county, again, don't pay attention to these amounts here. They say $24.99, $34.99. We're going to get to that in a minute. There's a code I'm going to give you. All right. The next page, once you click one or the other, we'll say you just clicked on the 1 county. You enter in your phone number on the next page. This brings you this. This is what it looks like on the next page. Still says $24.99. Ignore that. Just put your phone number in, the counter you want to monitor, hit add to cart, and then on the very next page, this is the summary page. Again, still says $24.99. Enter in this little box here this code, 50 off winter. It doesn't have to, it does not case sensitive or anything like that. Just write it just like this, 50 off winter in the promotional code. Hit validate code. The page will refresh, and then it'll say due today, $12.49 after the 50% discounts applied. You hit checkout, fill in your information, your billing information, and you're good to go. You'll have the rest of the winter. This goes through the last snow of the winter. So that goes into April. Guess what? You're still getting text alerts all the way through April. for every single system. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a winter storm either. We set them for rain over a half inch in 24 hours. We set them for high winds, for fog, for thunderstorms, anything like that. This will be through the end of winter. Last snow, if that goes to April, you're getting text all the way through April, and it's at a half-off discount. So take advantage of that. I just want to put this in the video here because those of you, I want to reward those of you that actually take the time to watch this entire video, because I know they're long, but this will give you an opportunity to get that discounted code before I release it to the general public. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Martrich, and that is this edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, January 15th, 2017. Join us again next week, and we'll discuss how quickly we're going to get into this new pattern change we're speaking of toward the end of the month.